scary Peppa Pig episode that never made it on TV. It was a perfectly ordinary evening when Peppa and George decided to play hide-and-seek in their house. Mummy Pig was busy cooking dinner downstairs, and Daddy Pig was reading his newspaper in the living room. The children giggled as they ran upstairs to their bedroom, completely unaware that something was terribly wrong with their home tonight. Peppa counted to 10 while George hid behind the purple bunk bed. But when she opened her eyes, the room looked different. The walls seemed taller, stretching endlessly upward, and the cheerful drawings on the walls had changed. Instead of happy elephants and boats, the pictures now showed twisted shapes with too many eyes, all staring directly at her. George peeked out from his hiding spot, but his usual joyful expression was replaced by confusion and fear. The toys scattered across the floor began to move on their own. The wooden train set formed a perfect circle, going round and round with no one controlling it. The teddy bear's button eyes had turned completely black, and its smile had grown wider than it should be possible. Peppa called out for Mummy Pig, but her voice echoed strangely in the room, as if the walls were much further away than they appeared. When she tried to leave the bedroom, the door handle wouldn't turn. It felt cold and wet under her small pink hands, and she could swear she heard something breathing on the other side. The window that usually showed their beautiful garden now revealed a completely different view. Instead of green grass and blue sky, there was only darkness with strange lights moving in patterns that hurt to look at. The lights seemed to be getting closer, pressing against the glass like curious fingers. George started to cry, but his tears weren't the normal kind. They fell upward instead of down, floating toward the ceiling where they formed puddles that reflected images of places that didn't exist. In those reflections, Peppa could see other versions of themselves, but these other Peppas and Georges looked sad and frightened. The purple bunk bed began to grow taller, its ladder extending up and up until it disappeared into shadows above. Peppa realized that their bedroom ceiling had vanished entirely, replaced by an endless dark space filled with whispers in languages she didn't understand. The whispers seemed to know her name, calling to her in voices that sounded almost like Mummy and Daddy Pig, but not quite right. As the night grew deeper, the children discovered that time itself had become strange in their room. Minutes felt like hours, and hours passed like seconds. The clock on the wall spun backward and forward randomly, its hands moving in impossible directions. The most frightening thing was that downstairs, they could still hear the normal sounds of their family. Mummy Pig humming while cooking, Daddy Pig turning newspaper pages. But when they called out, their voices seemed to be absorbed by the walls, never reaching the floors below. Eventually, Peppa and George huddled together on the bottom bunk, watching as their familiar bedroom transformed into something from a dream that wasn't quite a nightmare, but wasn't quite safe either. They fell asleep holding hands, and when morning came, everything was back to normal. But they would never forget that strange night.